like to address to both of the candidates. And the reason you both agree that it's an important resource, but neither of you addressed the how you'd work to protect the health of the Great Lakes. One of the biggest problems is invasive species are transported into the Great Lakes through the ballast water of ocean-going vessels. The problem is the shipping industry is a multi-million-dollar industry, and if you start changing how they get rid of their ballast water and so on, it's very expensive. So how would you handle that? Because you've also got Canada to deal with. How would you handle that, the way invasive species come into the country?
On a follow-up question, we have 30 seconds, and Senator Lassa, you're first.
Well, I think there are a number of different ways that we can really handle invasive species. One is to make sure that before any type of ballast water is being dumped into the lakes, that any type of living creatures that would be transported in the ship's hull would be killed. We need to make sure, and that can be through, a variety of different means, but we need to make sure that that is happening. But we also have to watch the Asian carp, which is coming up from the rivers south of us from Chicago.
Mr. Duffy?
I think we have to work with our shippers. We have to work with other countries to make sure that we implement procedures and policies that are going to allow us to effectively keep out these invasive species. I don't hold myself out as an expert on the topic, but I can tell you this. I would aggressively work with different countries and our shippers and our environmentalists to make sure that we address this problem effectively.
Our next question is from Judy Clark and directed first to Mr. Duffy.
Unemployment is reaching 10% in the country, and the latest Wisconsin jobless rate is close to 8%. Job creation is a big issue in many campaigns this year. Do you think the federal government should play a role in creating jobs? And if you believe there is a role, please be specific about what that role should be.
Yeah, well, I just came out with my plan for stimulating the economy and getting job growth going. It's on my website. It's duffyforcongress.com. But really what I'm talking about is removing uncertainty and restoring confidence. I've had a chance to travel all over the district and talk to small business owners. And an example of one, he said, listen, I employ 131 people. And I can invest $1 million in my business. And if I do that, the numbers work, and I'll create 15 new jobs in central Wisconsin. But he said, I'm 62. I'm not going to make that investment. I'm not going to make it because there's uncertainty coming from government. And what he means by that is uncertainty because he doesn't know the cost of health care for hiring another employee. Cap and trade, what are his energy costs going to be? Taxes are going up January 1st in 2011. And then we have bailouts and stimulus. All of that has caused him to lock down and not create jobs. And the bottom line is there's 15 families that don't have a good paying job in central Wisconsin. Those decisions have been made all over Wisconsin, and that's wrong. Senator Lassa, as the chair of the Wisconsin Economic Committee in the state, under her leadership there, we've lost 150,000 jobs. And under her leadership, we've expanded the size of government, increased our taxes, and from that, we've seen businesses leave this great state. Federal Mogul, Fiskars, Polaris. Just on Friday, we saw that Journe's Healthcare is going to leave her Senate district. These policies in Madison are wrong for job growth. That's what they've been doing in Washington. What she's done in Madison, she'll also do in Washington.
Senator.
Thank you very much for the question. I come from a family, I told you, that has a small dairy farm. The fact is that my dad also worked at a factory for 38 years. And during that time, there were times when work at the factory slowed down and he was laid off. So I know very well what is happening with so many families who have lost a job or been laid off or are concerned about whether or not they'll have a job, next week, next month, or next year. And that's why, I really believe that we need to close the tax loopholes that are encouraging corporations to move good-paying American jobs overseas into other countries. We need to make sure that we stop that. It is absolutely crazy for Americans to work as hard as we do. We pay our taxes just for the federal government to turn around and give corporations that hard-earned tax dollars just to move that worker's job to Mexico or China or India. And that is really something that separates my Republican opponent and I, because he supports leaving those tax loopholes in place. I think they need to be closed. We need to be rewarding businesses who invest in Wisconsin and American workers first. And talking about the job losses here in this state and in this country. It was the greed of the big Wall Street banks that brought this country down on its knees.
Our next question, Mr. Lauber, you first for Senator Lassa.
The paper industry is one of the largest manufacturing industries in our state, providing more than 30,000 jobs.